you, I said that you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs live. Fast talking, no riddling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much make it a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the sea, you know that it's scorching. What's the matter with King? No response to the saying, advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game and shoot, what said that you claim?
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted, this what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. And on this incredible Wednesday, we're going to get right back at it like we never left. I want to say what's up with my first breath and my last breath. And this is exactly what's next. Legendary Obi, I salute you. What's going on, my GK&N affiliate? We understand what's going on in these streets where these people are out here trying to sabotage the show. Trust and believe that we are here and we will not allow that to go. Big Bad Mo, what's good? Joe Dunamore, what's happening? Lamont Davis, New Soul, yeah. Let's get to it. Now, y'all see the title. Is That Your King? Now, I've been sitting on this for a second. Like, I'm not going to hold you. When they was talking about this Steam machine, because I have the original Steam machine, I have the Alienware model, the controller and stuff, and it's upstairs, probably in my attic, somewhere. And I was thinking, I said, well, you know, the Steam Deck is dope, and what is Gabe gonna do with the Steam machine? So the first time he came out with the Steam machine, they had different variants. Like they had different OEM models that was made from different people and, you know, PC manufacturers. Kind of like how the 3DO models were going at it. And I said, well, I do like Alienware. Alienware at the time was like the leader in the industry, if you will. And I went with it. But Gabe's thought process then was to be the most powerful. Those Steam machines were head and shoulders above consoles. Destroyed them in terms of raw power and what it was able to do. And I believe that's around the time you had, like, I think it was like the tail end of the PlayStation 3, 360. I'm believing. If memory serves me, if it's not, then, you know, it was just a device that I got. Anyway, I got the device and it was okay. It wasn't above and beyond. It wasn't super great. It was just okay. And I don't believe that their software caught up to where Gabe really wanted it to go. And Xbox and PlayStation was doing their thing. Nintendo was doing their thing. And it really couldn't get into the living room in the manner that Gabe wanted it to, you know, take over the living room. And it wasn't for a lack of power. So that's where you get the, you know, power doesn't define what is going to be a winner. Has to be easy use, has to be a combination of great games. It has to be a wonderful controller interface. And marketing plays a huge role in this whole thing. So a lot of times you got to figure out how to market your game, how to market your console, how to market the controller, and how to get awareness it was always seemed as a PC device. So I think that put it on the periphery of where gamers were, but it was cost prohibitive. Think about it. The price point forced it out of the living room. Nobody cared. Even if you go right now and go check out old Steam machines on eBay or wherever you can find them, they're still priced out like ridiculously. I was trying to get them from GameStop, right? I figured, because anytime a console hits rock bottom, GameStop usually has these amazing sales. Nah, not to be had. So when I got mine, I just got it, and I got it off of like this secondhand site, Mercury, I believe. And I picked it up and I got it to the house and I was checking it out and stuff like that. And I had just got it. See, I didn't have it day one before because there was nothing there. I got a chance to test it out, but I picked it up as a novelty. And then they started talking about the new one. Well, the new one, I thought would have learned the lessons of the previous one. Price point, language, controller interface. Now, controller interface, from everybody that has a Steam machine or Steam controller, I've heard it that the controller is dope. I don't have this controller yet because I'm personally waiting to have a Steam machine before I try it out. I do have a Steam library because I use my Steam Deck, but I stopped using my Steam Deck once I got my Xbox Raw Ally X because I can run Steam through there and the games run at least 10 to 15% better on my Xbox Raw Ally X opposed to my Steam. And I don't have the OLED version of the Steam Deck. Storefront is dope now. The price point is bad. So I see people now getting their Steam machines, and I champion those people that are on the forefront of gaming, that are talking with their wallet. I respect that because I talk with my wallet. Next generation, boom, I'm in. Damn near sell all my games, get into the next generation. Hold on one second. I'm getting text messages and okay, nothing special. And I champion that stuff. So I like to be on the forefront of next generation always. And I applaud the people that are willing to take the dive into the next generation because there's no guarantees. But I like to talk about something that is happening. Hold on. Got to pull something up right now that is happening, and it's pretty bad. Right? It's pretty bad because you you personally want to get your next console, and you don't want what 360 did with the overheating. And at first, 360 wasn't widespread at first, but then it just like hit this bump and went kind of crazy. Well, our friends over at Valve has the red line of death. As an Xbox 360 owner, I can relate, bro. Now, I can't relate that you paid $1,400 for this machine and it has bad thermal throttling. But I had the red ring of death. I send my console back to Microsoft because they send me the box, send it back to Microsoft. I got my console in a week. Boom. And we got Steve Ballmer to thank for that quick, swift action when it came to the red ring of death on the Xbox 360. And Lord knows, if the Xbox 360 never caught the red ring of death, do you know how many consoles that could have actually sold? But in hindsight, 360 is popping so much that people caught the red ring of death and they just got another console. A backup console, if you will, just in case the one they got fixed goes down. Now, this is brought to you by BGR and Aaron Greenbaum. Here's what the Steam Machine's red line of death actually means. The Steam Machine is Valve's latest foray into PC gaming consoles, slated to release July 29th, and that's right around the corner. However, some people have gotten their hands on early copies and learned that the device isn't stable as we have hoped. But just because it exhibits issues similar to those that we've seen in earlier consoles doesn't mean that they are exactly the same. Good, because my level of ignorance when it comes to the subject is very high. Recently, a user by the name of me_Hill posted on the Reddit Steam Reddit for Steam machines that they received the early copy of the Steam Machine and got to play it for about 20 minutes, 5 minutes of which was devoted to No Man's Sky, before installing an update that bricked the console. The Steam Machine stopped working in its entirety, except for a thin red line near the bottom meant to indicate the console had encountered a fatal error. This trait earned the nickname the Red Line of Death, due to its similarities to the Xbox 360 Red Ring of Death. Like its namesake, the Red Line of Death is a visual error code designed to help users diagnose the problem. In fact, Steam Machine Support website has an entire page dedicated to the various colors and their meanings. In me_Hill's case, the line they encountered, the left half was black and the right half was breathing red. Dear God. Indicating that the Steam Machine experienced a GPU failure. Oh my Lord. While you normally encounter early warning signs of your GPU about to fail, sometimes they just give up the digital ghost without warning. Jeez. Which is what Steam Machine is telling me_Hill what happened. When GPU fails, your next course of action will vary depending on the card itself. You can remove the component or you could buy a new one, assuming that you can afford one. If not, you send the entire device in for repairs. Since the Steam Machine's GPU is soldered into the motherboard, me_Hill needed to send his console to Valve Support HQ, so they thought. An anticlimactic, their words, not ours, update, me_Hill followed up their initial post by saying they got their Steam Machine up and running again after trying the oldest trick in the computer repair handbook, turning it off and turning it on again. Sort of. Initially, me_Hill tried leaving the Steam Machine unplugged for several hours, but that didn't work. So they kept it unplugged overnight and plugged it back in normally in hopes that it could work some magic in the device BIOS. When me_Hill unplugged the Steam Machine and plugged it back in, it booted up immediately without issues. You might wonder what a miraculous recovery is responsible. Turns out me_Hill was working under the wrong assumption the entire time, though we had hardly to blame him. According to Digital Foundry, the Steam Machine's light bar codes are currently reversed. So the pattern that you should represent a brick GPU actually indicates a memory training failure, an issue that you can easily fix by leaving the device unplugged to clear the CMOS. How long do I need to put it to sleep? It need rest. It just started. This thing is an infant. And keep this in mind. If your Steam Machine is a light bar starts acting up after you receive it, before Valve updates the report page. This is more of a detailed analysis, and this is brought to you by Tom's Hardware and Mark Tyson, Mike Tyson's younger brother, decided to write this article. Valve confirms that the Steam Machine's red light overheating warning is showing earlier than it should. BIOS fix is on the way. It will raise the temperature warning threshold to 100 degrees Celsius. See, that's the problem. The machine is made to, once it kicks in past a certain threshold of Celsius, it is meant to shut down to make sure that it doesn't overheat, just like a regular PC. And in hopes that Valve would have had that under control, and knowing that the normal living room conditions can tend to get a tad hot, I would have thought that they would have made sure that they put this thing through the ringer before they got this thing out in the hands of the public. See, what happened with the 360 was that I think the GPU or the system on chip, the SoC, the heat, the thermal paste would lift up, and it would detach from the motherboard itself. So that's where the fatal error came in for the 360. This is an overheating issue, and without adequate thermals, you will say that, you know, the heat sinks aren't properly aligned in the proper places, I guess. And this was happening with PlayStation 5s. Remember when they started removing a ton of heat sinks out of the device? I have the first PlayStation 5 that dropped. I never turned mine vertical, always laid it horizontal. And the reason why I did that was because I felt that it looked better, and it just was too tall standing up. Good thing I did that, because we know now that the liquid cooling system inside the PlayStations tend to leak or bubble up on one side and cause fatal errors. The Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S have never had an issue. They're probably one of the best ventilated machines that I've ever had. So it's currently concerning for me when it comes to the Steam machine having these issues. I believe that after the 360, Xbox took the extra lengths in ensuring that their consoles ship with the thermal solutions that made it possible for it to be as cool and efficient as possible. And I believe like the 360 uses some vapor cooling chamber. I mean, not the 360, the Series X uses some vapor cooling technology. And I'm thinking about Project Helix. Now, some people hit me up yesterday with messages. Remember, I read all your messages. You leave a comment on the video, you leave a comment. I read all of them. And I make sure that I put a thumbs up and a like to it, regardless to what, even if I don't respond, but I read every last one of them. One guy was talking about how we are naive when it comes to these consoles or these companies. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is out of hope. I hope Xbox understands that physical is necessary for a large majority of individuals. I hope Xbox understands that it will be an absolute win for them to do something in the form of making something physical that can go along with their digital library, giving them some type of assurance and reassurance when it comes to it, because we do have a couple of issues that I do want to talk about here today based upon that, and understanding that that is necessary. So when you hear me talk about stuff, it's usually me talking about my wants and needs in this space based upon me putting out cash. Now, a lot of times y'all think that these videos are sponsored. Some videos are, some videos aren't. And I'll tell you ahead of time who's the sponsor, but they aren't sponsored in the way that you may think, right? They aren't, well, here's some cash, King, go do your thing type of stuff, or peddle this stuff. No, like we would get some type of like hardware or something, like let's just say this this HyperX clutch Talon. And I Like I will only have to do one spot. I really just have to review it, send it over to a writer, let them know how I feel about it with a little video to it, and that goes just like that. But sometimes I fall in love with the product, and you'll see me just mentioning it throughout videos. So that's pretty much how my sponsorships go for that. And they're not like really sponsorships, they're more like partnerships and review engines. But that's me telling you if I really mess with some stuff, because I get a lot of stuff. If I really mess with some stuff, I really talk about it. And it's informative for you guys because when you're in a market for a controller, you want something that's durable, you want something that's dope for headsets or microphone or whatever. Like this microphone here is definitely dope. It's from HyperX. You can go check it out. But it's you. I'm just trying to give you a pathway in to the easiest way and something that's going to last, right? But looking at this red ring of death and understanding, well, this red line of death and understanding that Valve has a serious problem on their hands, are they going to be able to make sure that the BIOS is updated by the time that people get their consoles on the 29th? Because this is not the first time that I've heard about this situation. Now, we're enduring a particular hot summer in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's understandable if powerful pint-sized PCs are getting relatively toasty during the long gaming sessions. However, Valve has just confirmed that the Steam Machine's the red light bar warning is bugged and would be triggered prematurely. Redditor Pure outcome 5977 shared a Steam support message that appears to confirm that the BIOS fix is on the way to raise the temperature and the throttling red light warning threshold for the CPU GPU from 95 to 95 and 90 to 100 degrees Celsius. I don't think that's going to be sufficient. Remember when PlayStation's very early on, the PlayStation 5's very early on, you had third-party companies coming out with these little fans that you put on the back of your PlayStation. My stepson has it, and he has it on the back of his PlayStation 5. Sounds like an absolute jet engine, but he puts it on the back of his PlayStation 5, and I think that we're going to have to get something that goes to the back of this device here. If we're going to partake into this Steam machine, I think we're going to have something to lock into the back to draw the heat out of the machine at a faster rate than the fans that are inside the machine. Because if you have a Steam Deck gets relatively hot, right? So I can expect that this device itself can exceed some of the numbers that are going to trigger it. It appears to be a little miscommunication going on between the Redditor and the Steam support. The pure outcome 5977 red warning light was coming on with the system monitor tools showing that the CPU was at 81 degrees Celsius and the GPU was at 71 degrees Celsius. So the red light bar warning trigger temperatures of 95 to 90 Celsius seem to be bugged. Thus, they got an answer slightly different issue than the one they raised. After discussing with our engineers, there's a known issue with the current BIOS that results in the red line lights displaying much earlier than they should. Amidst the Steam support person in the message of the screenshot, the issue is just that when the lights are set to come on, the Steam machine itself within normal operating temperatures of the CPU and GPU, which is confirmed from the screenshots. For your awareness, the Steam machine is starting to throttle performance at 100 degrees Celsius for CPU and GPU and was shut down to protect itself and its temperatures in the past. Importantly, the premature red light warning is just a temporary wrinkle that will be fixed soon via the BIOS update at Steam-Valve. After the update, the red light warnings will only be seen after hitting a threshold of 100 degrees Celsius for the CPU and GPU instead of 95 to 90 degrees Celsius for the CPU and GPU. That is currently happening, concluded the official support message. This is the problem. You see, You see this? A lot of you guys aren't PC inclined, right? And running CPU BIOS and all this other stuff, that stuff is definitely going to turn you guys off. Me personally, I do a couple of things when it comes to my Steam Deck. I run emulation through it. So I have to go to the hard dashboard and launch the emulation from the hard dashboard, from the SIM card, and that's how I access my games and stuff through it. So I'm pretty well versed when it comes to going to dashboard on the Steam Deck. I want to know if it's going to be the same thing with the Steam machine. It's just very cost prohibitive right now for me to even engage with the Steam machine based upon the price tag. The price tag is out of whack due to what is offered. It is not offering something that, in my eyes, is better than a base PlayStation 5, which I don't game on as much as I should based upon my purchasing style, right? I do have everything for the PlayStation except for 2 items. I don't have the PlayStation Link thing for those, for those Bud earphones that they have, and I don't have the Portal because I believe that the handheld is coming out next year. So I'm not going to waste my time on a Portal. I want something that is an official handheld that I can take around, kind of like my Xbox ROG Ally X, and I could put it up against each other and see which one is the best and do my own little digital foundry stuff, the same way I did with my Steam Deck. Now, I mean, with my Steam Deck. Xbox did something that is confusing to me. Now, I'm not the greatest Tony Hawk fan, but I am one of the greatest Game Pass lovers, right? So if you love Game Pass and you understand, I champion Game Pass because of the value that I receive when it comes to Game Pass. A lot of individuals don't see the value in Game Pass, and that's on them. I use it to its best ability. I stream, I use the apps, I get the points. I do everything with Game Pass based upon the parameters that are set in front of me. And somebody told me that Game Pass Ultimate perks, like rewards, isn't available in every country. It should be. I want to know if you set your home country to United States, would it fix it? I don't know. But certain things that I don't like if a title is supposed to come out inside Game Pass, and then for whatever reason it misses its date, it raises eyebrows. When Asha Sharma took Call of Duty out of Game Pass, that was alarming for a lot of individuals. And it set a precedence in the state that no game is safe, especially with a game as high profile as Call of Duty being removed from Game Pass. And they can dazzle it up as much as they want to dazzle it up. It's not going to stop people from saying that's a slippery slope. They're going to do more, and what's next? Not saying that this is what's next, but just saying that this game itself being removed from the lineup for July has people questioning things. And we need to get to the bottom of this. This is brought to you by Pure Xbox and Craig Reed. Xbox quietly removes an upcoming Game Pass title from the July lineup. We're continuing to work through the necessary license approvals. Now, this has a lot of people believing that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is facing musical licensing issues with the game, because remember, there are a lot of licensing music issues that goes along with games, especially games that are pretty old, right? So just think about it this way. You don't want to get this title and the music that you love from before is removed. but then it's not exactly what they offered and what they said they were going to do. An Xbox spokesman has contacted us to confirm the licensing issue. We're continuing to work through the necessary licensing approval for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 plus 2. We'll share an update as soon as we have one. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 plus 4 is still available in the Game Pass. Thanks for your patience. Now, everybody that got the Tony Hawk 3 plus 4, but you're looking for 1 plus 2, you're going to have to wait. Something strange has occurred. If you recall, in our recent January Xbox Game Pass roundup, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was set to join its sequel on the subscription service July 21st. However, that no longer appears to be the case. We are fact-checking details for today's 2 additions to Xbox Game Pass. Stumbled across the edited note that Xbox Wire mentioned that Tony Hawk's removal from the July lineup, and this is what they said. We removed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 from the list of titles coming soon to Game Pass. No official word, explanation, or even a hint on why this decision was made. Only that it happened. And as things stands, we don't know when or if Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 will make it available on Game Pass members. We suppose only time and perhaps another editor's note will tell. And this is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. So could you imagine if you're playing 3 and 4 and you was looking forward to this in stunning 4K? Look how it used to look. Look at that. Oh my God. No. Yes. Insane tricks. They look nice. All the classic locations. Who was looking forward to this? All right, you see? They put the licensing, they put the soundtrack, and if that's the hookup, I want to know who's doing it. Naughty by Nature, is it you? I'm pretty sure I have to mute this section in a second. Yo, it looks a million times better. Yo, do you know what memory is? Memory sucks so bad because in your mind's eye, you believe that that's what it used to look like. Hell no, it ain't never looked like that. I'm glad that they showed you back and forth aspects of it. Jeez. Now, speaking of something that was delayed, and you saw me going gaga over this the other day, and I'm particularly looking forward to this because I personally am a fighting fool. I love fighting games. If you'll see anything that I throw up on Twitter, I throw up my fighting game, stuff, and win, lose, or draw, get your butt whipped, whatever it is, you put it up. We did some epic stuff. But one fighting game in particular, I'm super stoked for. I love Arc System Works when it comes to how they approach head-to-head competition, especially when it comes to fighting games, especially 2D fighting games. I think they are second to none. They are ridiculous. With the Guilty Gear Strife series, it looks incredible. A little bit convoluted. I'm not going to hold you. When you go into the menu system, it's a little bit daunting. There's a lot of map regurgitated stuff there, but you have to take your time with it. And once you master the map situation when it comes to it and the menus and everything, then you'll have a good time when it comes to Guilty Gear. But Token Fighting Souls, that's set to be released from the PlayStation 5. Well, not only did it upset a couple of countries, over 100 and some odd countries, based upon the fact that PlayStation Plus isn't available in those countries, and they don't allow you to play the game based upon your region of living. Sucks. But to further make this stink fest, PlayStation, and this is brought to you by PC Guide, PlayStation delays the launch of the Fight Stick Beyond Marvel Token, the biggest fighting game to release in 2026. Well, that's him, and that's brought to you by Abdul Hadid. Sony recently revealed the release date for the first official PlayStation arcade stick, the Flex Strike, a wireless fighting stick that plans to launch alongside Marvel Token Fighting Souls. Since Marvel Token is expected to be one of the biggest fighting games released in 2026, many players were looking forward to using Sony's controller day one. However, those plans have now changed. PlayStation has officially delayed the accessory. In an update shared with the PlayStation blog, and I found it kind of weird yesterday that it was crossed out, and I was looking for its release date, but it was not to be found because I would get it through Amazon, right? I would just have Amazon just to like deliver it instead of going through Sony itself, unless Sony's giving me free shipping and the warranty that goes with it. I get my stuff usually through Amazon. All right, so Sony confirmed that the Flex Strike wireless fight stick has delayed due to unexpected production delays. The controller was originally scheduled to launch on August 6th, the same date as Marvel Token Fighting Souls, but now would arrive at a later date. Sony has not announced a new release window, only saying that it will share once the update pops up. And I think that's a bullish, because put it this way, I'm spending $100 for the game, and I'm willing to spend $200 for this controller. When I get the game and I start playing with my controller, I'm going to have a sense of, nah, I can do without this fighting stick. And I just believe that it's going to put the fighting stick at a disadvantage. First of all, it's an unnecessary peripheral, especially if you play fighting games with controllers, which majority of the time I do. This is pretty much for us old arcade heads that like to play that way. Now, some people, some of you younger people, like to play fighting games with sticking and buttons. I have an arcade cabinet upstairs, a custom arcade cabinet is, 1 versus 2, and perfect buttons, perfect arcade stick. And I love playing my arcade games that way. I love playing my Neo Geo fighting games that way with the Neo Geo controller. So this thing here was like a match made in heaven. The fact that this thing is no longer on the horizon, I'm feeling like, damn, because I'm definitely going to have Token Fighting Souls day one, right? I'm feeling that, well, if given enough time, if they let enough time lapse, and my first experience isn't with the fighting stick, then I might not get it. $200 is nothing to sneeze at. So it's at a semi-impulse buy, but when you couple it with the game, which is going to be $100, you're looking at a $300 price tag, and that is no longer impulse buy. That is pretty much, you question your thought process there. I think they're just hustling backwards. I think PlayStation really are like, they're doing this game a damn disservice, man. And I just actually hate the fact that is happening this way. But imagine this. Imagine you're not a game influencer, you're not a content creator, you're just a regular casual consumer that loves the platform that you patron. You love Xbox, you love PlayStation, you love Steam, and you built up a great digital library. And let's say your digital library spans like hundreds of games. It could span 5 games, but I'm just saying, imagine you got a vast library and then you get hacked and you get locked out of your account. Well, if you're not a whatchamacallit, hold on. Hold on. because I hear noise upstairs, but who's upstairs, Bella? That's probably Coco just moving around. But your joint get hacked and you're not Colin, you're not like myself, you're not anybody that can actually call and get it fixed. Well, this happens. This is brought to you by Pure Xbox and Fraser Gilbert. Xbox responds to a devastated fan who lost all their games due to a hacking account. It's not the experience we want anyone to have. You see, when we talk about the physical, we talk about physical games and the ownership that goes along with it. Because you have your games. But when you have digital games and you get hacked, well, your library is beholden to the hacker. And then you have to convince the console manufacturer that you are the actual owner. Earlier this week, we covered a story about someone in Brazil who had taken Microsoft to court over a hacked Xbox account in which they lost access to all their games and had been told that they're essentially unrecoverable. He sued their ass. He sued them, and I think he got like $40, but he got all the stuff back. This situation was fortunately resolved in the end, but most immediately afterwards, a post on social media from someone named Joshua Kane started getting massive attention, literally 4.7 million views at the time of this writing, in which they complained of the same thing. Their account had been hacked, and they lost all their games and files. As you can see from the post below, be warned that it contains a lot of profanity. Microsoft deleted my account and OneDrive after acknowledging I'm the owner of the account and that it was compromised. 25 effing years of data, thousands of euros spent on games, my son's baby pictures gone, all because Microsoft couldn't bring back a bless whatever. It ended up getting picked up by a bunch of outlets, media, including the likes of IGN, Windows Central, and it seems the attention was so significant that Xbox support had finally alerted to what was going on. In the official response, Xbox stated that it's not the experience we want anyone to have with a hacked account. We're sorry that it happened. It's not an experience we want anyone to have, and their account is compromised. We have been working to resolve the issue to your purchases and reached out with the next steps. Please check your voicemail or inbox. All's well that ends well, huh? Maybe. The problem here is that we've seen this happen far too many times for our liking across Microsoft and other platforms that matter. It's getting more and more concerning with this stuff. There's plenty of success stories if you look for them from people who was able to get their accounts back. Now, I did have a friend that reached out to me and they had some issues, but they did get it fixed and sorted out. There are others like this where it feels like people are running into a brick wall without going to social media and asking for additional help. Here's hoping that both Xbox support and Microsoft support will be learning from these situations in the future, as all of us obviously want to be reassured that our accounts will be safe when this happens. Let me tell you what this fan did here, because they fixed that. But this Brazilian dude, and this is brought to you by Xbox Central, Xbox Wire. Xbox fans successfully sues Microsoft for blocking the entire digital library, in which could be a huge win for the consumer rights. This is brought to you by Alexander Cope. The Brazilian Xbox player, Ordo underscore Liberio recently won a case against Microsoft, proving that you can fight for your right to preserve your digital ownership in your games and win. Listen to this. Microsoft came to court to fight this dude. Listen, could you imagine being wrong? Could you imagine for years you're a loyal customer for something and you're wrong? What happened to the customer is always right? And what happened to working it out? See, they did that with the other account, but they didn't do that with this account. After Sony announced that it's deleting over 500 movies from the user accounts with no refunds, discontinuing physical discs, games, and closing down PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita digital stores, people are increasingly skeptical of making all media digital only, where we're actively heading towards. A Brazilian gamer, Ardo, I'm just going to say OL. OL was also found out this the hard way, as back on April 6, 2026, has Microsoft account hacked and promptly suspended by Microsoft as its IT team determined it was unrecoverable by policy due to the account's security details being changed by the hacker. This isn't the first time we've seen reports of this. Windows Central, Microsoft policies for restoring accounts are often incredibly flimsy. Getting in touch with the right support services can be a nightmare of AI bots and outsourcing customer service layers. I hate that part. I hate someone talking to me that is outsourced and you know it immediately. As a result of being blocked, OL not only lost his Xbox games, but also lost all of his OneDrive files. The fact that it's linked to it is more concerning than anything else. As a result of being blocked, OL, wait, hold on. All right, enraged, Microsoft took away his game library and insisted he buy them again. Holy God. OL then sued Microsoft in a digital library lawsuit. The court case dragged on to July 12th, 2026. Could you imagine being locked out of your library that you rightfully own from April to July? OL announced on Reddit that he had actually won. Privacy is not a pricing issue. It's a service issue. How Sony just proved. Hold on. According to the comments, the Brazilian court ruled in favor of OL under Brazilian strict consumer laws and has ordered Microsoft to completely restore OL's account, giving him the entire Xbox digital games library back and pay him $400 in damages. Okay, $400 in damages. Does that equate to that period of time from April to July that he wasn't able to play his games or access his account? I don't think $400 is enough. From a $4 trillion company, I don't think $400 is enough. I think they need a severe reprimanding. I think that guy was supposed to get a substantial amount of money. Even the same way that people lost movies from Sony, I think they're due a substantial amount of cash. Not just some here's $400 and go about your business. No, that $400 doesn't even get me let's say if I wanted to buy a PlayStation after what transpired here. That doesn't even get me a PlayStation. You have to compensate me in an equivalent amount of money. You know, time, emotional damage. I got PTSD now when it comes to digital stuff. I'm afraid to purchase. All that stuff that goes along with that psychological damage that went there. I had to take therapy for a couple of months based upon that through my digital therapist that I use on Zoom. He recommended that I take Pilates, all type of BS that goes along with that. I don't care. But compensate that man duly with respect. And $400 in damages doesn't really cover that at all. Give him 5 years worth of free Game Pass. I think that's where we start at. and then we compensate him with the next Series X, the all digital one or the physical one or whatever you're gonna do. I think starting to win him back to make sure that he's emotionally covered makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because personally, $400 wasn't enough. I thought it was like $40 at one time. Actually, I don't know where I was reading that, or I probably was like half asleep when I read it, and I'm just like, damn, man, they get away with murder if you allow them to. This guy went to court himself, and Microsoft goes to court with like 5 different high-powered lawyers to go up against little old him. Nah, man. That's we have to be protected digitally. Our rights have to be protected. Now, one thing that I do care about the most, and I want y'all to be very clear on this. I hate you PlayStation 4 users. I hate you Xbox One users. You're holding back the whole generation. You're holding us back. You're forcing us to be stagnant. And I love every company that decides to not make games for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. This is why this brings my heart so much joy. This is brought to you by Game Informer and Marcus Stewart. Touchland cancels PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of Dying Light the Beast. Good. They gave you back your refund. Go about your business. We don't want your service here. You are a blight in the gaming industry. You're the reason why everything is all upside down. I blame you, PlayStation 4 owners, and you Xbox One users, putting up those old ancient architectural Jaguar cores consoles like the lives matter. It's over. They should be in a landfill someplace. Touchland launched Dying Light the Beast last September for current consoles and PC, but I plan to bring the game to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One at a later date. Unfortunately, for players on those platforms, those plans have been canceled. I am so happy that they're canceled. The developer publisher posted on X stating that it no longer will bring Dying Light the Beast to last-gen consoles due to technical issues getting the game to run well on older hardware. Thank God. And anyone else that has had their hand in it. I am tired of you guys. And I'm glad console prices are at a damn near double than when they started this generation. Because it's you guys that are holding us back. The Dying Light the Beast was built from the ground up to take advantage of current generation hardware. Techland writes, the open world, advanced visuals, and fluid combat and traversal all depends on processing power, memory that previous generation consoles simply cannot provide. A development process, it came clear that bringing the game to those platforms will require compromises that will prevent us from delivering an experience we set out to create. This was not a matter of choosing to leave those platforms behind. It should have been, rather than reflected to the technical realities and the development of our commitment to delivering the best possible experience. They should have just told you that it wasn't coming out and didn't give your ass any type of explanation. I don't care for you guys to get anything. Popeye's biscuits for the last generation. We sacrificed. We put ourselves on the front line, and you guys stood back and tried to figure out, oh, I'll get it when they have enough games for me to play. I hate you, face. I hate you, face. Can't stand you, and you piss me off. But in great news, because I didn't want to get those AR, VR glasses because I got them already. And I am thinking about this handheld. It looks really, really dope. Asus, and this is brought to you by Pure Xbox and Fraser Gilbert. Asus issues a mini statement confirming that the standalone version of the ROG Xbox Ally X20 will be able to show up and show out and show off for a price that makes sense. Asus first revealed the Xbox ROG Ally X20 back at the start of June. It was mentioned to be released as part of a bundle with the ROG X Real R1 Edition 20 gaming AR glasses. That is wild crazy. That's a long title. But a new statement from the company has now confirmed that it'll be sold standalone as well as we expected. To be honest, I didn't. The OLED Ally is something to be looking forward to. I can't wait to get the price. They redesigned some buttons. They redesigned a couple of things. I like the look of it. It looks cool. It looks snazzy. It looks just right. I want this. Look at that. See-through, gold and black. Dare to innovate. I dare to innovate, and I dare to be great. So I dare to get that. And I don't know what, maybe I sell my regular Xbox ROG Ally X. I still haven't got around to selling my Steam Deck. It sits there. I'm just like one of those little pack rat type of people that this is getting disgusting. So, but it goes through a period of purge. Like I was looking at some statues, and I'm gonna pick up a couple of statues. I want to get into Legendary Beast, but that's after I take care of a couple of things. I have reached out to the statue guy. He has this Gray Hawk that I'm interested in. I'm gonna have to drive up and go pick that up from him. But I'm trying to figure out like what this area will look like, what this wall will look like. I'll probably change this wall, but y'all haven't seen the second media room upstairs. This is where I work at. Upstairs, I have a second media room where that is a HyperX room, HyperX mic, HyperX arm, HyperX PC, Omen PC, HyperX monitors, all that type of, HyperX stuff that I'm looking forward to. So I can't wait to get to that part, make that happen. But this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. If you liked anything that you saw here today, it was a little bit about Steam because, again, I think it's too early in its infancy for it to be going through these issues. But it's better early than late, I guess. And if it's not something that's bricking the console, if it's something that has to do with the BIOS that is protecting the console itself, well, good. If it's not a physical issue where it was, on the SoC on the Xbox 360 was lifting up because the thermals melted out, well, that's totally different. That the thermal paste lifted up, and they had to go fix that. Well, that's a completely different issue. You pay $1,400, you want something that is going to be around for a while. So hopefully we can get those little fans on the back of that little thing, and we can see what happens with that. And we didn't really have too much PlayStation news today because there's really nothing to talk about with those guys other than the mistakes that they're having and the stuff that's going on. Xbox had a couple of things going on, and I wanted to talk about the Tony Hawk stuff because Tony Hawk itself, for a lot of gamers, is pivotal. It's one of those pivotal moments in gaming where they actually love, and, I'm not really a Tony Hawk fan. But I want you to do what I'm about to do because I'm really about to go back inside and go make this happen. I want you to go with game is game and win is win. And I want you to try to play the Game Pass. But before you play the Game Pass, I told you, I'm the unmitigated best at this. And if you find anybody better than me, then put them up.
What's a man to a king? What's it a saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You front the game, but shoot what said as you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs live. Fast talking, no riddling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much making a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the sea, you know that it's scorching. What's a man to a king? What's it a saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You front the game, and shoot what said as you claim it.
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from. I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Said what you running from, what you running from. I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?